relax around and release the tension as we stretch the neck over to the right side. Feel the tension going, releasing, moving your head back, your neck back, nice and strong. Very simple, no tension, no straining, just releasing. Stretching the throat, moving the head to the left, feeling the tension on the right side of your neck. Just go, shoulders dropped, keep breathing. Keep breathing as we bring the head forward. Breathing into the throat. Breathing into the throat. Opening up the throat for that expression of life to be expressed. Here in the throat, we communicate our silence. It is our expressions of thought, feelings, and ideas. So breathe into that throat. Open the back of the throat. Open your mouth if need be. And let it go. It is here where we speak the truth. The truth that this silence, this peacefulness that we are experiencing comes forward. It speaks our personal integrity. It speaks harmony, peace, and the power within us. So give thanks for that. Give thanks for your throat as it expresses by means of words, thoughts, and ideas to accelerate the power within you. Let's bring our attention now to our eyes. We hold a lot of tension around the eyes. You can move your eyeballs out around. Release the tension. Bring your eyebrows together and tense the eyebrows together and let it go. Now I ask now that you bring your attention to the middle of your eyebrows, your third eye it's called. Breathe into that center between the eyebrows. Because this is our intuition unfolding, our self-awareness, our higher awareness of the wisdom and truth within you. It is here between the eyes, that third eye, that we are breathing into right now, where we visualize and create with our imagination. It is here where we find clarity, focus. So breathe into it. Open it up. Allow the light to move into that area. And breathe. Breathe into it. It's where we find our instinct. Intuition guides us, each of us, into that greater realization of the truth of our being. So we give thanks as we leave this area and move to the top of our heads, the crown, the light. Feel that light embodying your whole body. Feel it vibrating every atom, cell, and tissue of your being. Feel it radiating the inner self, the inner peace, the inner wisdom of who you are. This is the truth of your being. This is our access to that higher consciousness. Pure consciousness, that is who we are. Feel it. Breathe into it. This is our spiritual life unfolding as we are centered in the stillness, the silence, the wonderment of spirit, alive and well within each and every one of us. And it is in this consciousness that I am knowing for each one that there is one universal presence, one mind, one source, one divine energy. And it is vibrant right here, right now within each and every one. That vibrancy uplifts each one into a higher level of the recognition of spirit within. Communicating with that spirit as each one brings that light of peace and joy and harmony into the heart and soul. And it is here where we live, move, and have our being in this peace, in this wisdom, in this truth. For there is nothing that can block this truth in this pure consciousness, and we give thanks. We give thanks for this truth. We give thanks for this feeling of knowingness that with the one mind, with the one power, with the higher level of consciousness, we are safe and secure to see through any and all challenges that may come before us. And as we move into that depth of truth, we see through the challenges, we see the good, we see the light, we see the wisdom, and we move through upward, onward, and forward to a greater demonstration of life that brings upon nothing but happiness, wholeness, completeness, and vibrant energy to move forward in this thing called life. And we give thanks. We give thanks for our center. We give thanks for our teaching. And we give thanks for our lesson today as we open our minds, our body, and soul to accept this good right here and right now. And for this, I give thanks as I release the word into the creative energy of the creative law of mind and action to attract that good right here and now. And so it is. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend Robert, for the wonderful meditation time. We would like to play a little video clips, one or two, before we get into our main discussion for today. Thank you.
I can do all things through Spirit, which strengthens me. Of course, that's me paraphrasing it. We can do all things. The Spirit is with us, operating in us and through us. We just have to wake to that realization that we are one with the one. And I'm thinking, we too can develop a consciousness like that, where we can wake up and just say, oh my goodness, I'm alive and I'm awake. And, and we know that life responds to us, which is even better. And we can tune into that consciousness and realize that there is perfection with what is. And we can develop that awareness with each and every waking day. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lies all, the verities and the realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of beauty. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, celebrated and well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Are you looking to express life? Are you looking to express life with excitement? Are you looking forward to expressing yourself? Are you ready to use your power? You have power available to you. Ernest Holmes said, greater than you of which you're a part, and you can use it. It's time, unless you have other plans, to start getting excited about the most important person in the world, which hopefully you know is you. There's no better day than today. So this is the day to leap forward. There's no better time than right now. I won't say that we have wasted time in the past year or so, and I'm certainly not going to say we've lost time, because I'm sure we've all acquired valuable lessons and strength. I'm going to say, though, today is the time for us to begin to live our life more fully, to express ourselves full throttle and with joy and happiness, knowing that all of life is supporting you. Our teaching always teaches that, by the way. You have the universe giving us all these green lights now. I could see it and feel it yesterday in the streets of New York, I promise you. It's always been wooing you and urging you to step forward and express life in a greater way. This life that you're living right now is not a dress rehearsal. It's it. So please stop waiting around for your man to come, the job to come. You have to be the initiator of the greatness in your life. You've got to put a demand on consciousness yourself for fuller expression. If you're wishing and hoping, it just doesn't work that way. We understand in this teaching, we center ourselves in the truth, and we know that we're one with light, love, intelligence, and all the good. And when we know that, we put a demand on.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday gathering at First Center for Spiritual Living. We're so happy always to have you on the call with us. Today is a special day. We have a special program planned out for everyone. But before we start, we'd like to invite Reverend Judith for opening affirmative prayer. Thank you.
Good morning. Remembering the consciousness that was set in the beautiful meditation. Going back to that stillness that meditation brought. Going back to the awareness of the divine embrace that we are all in. I'm knowing and speaking this word of truth, which is already within the law for each one. We know that there is one power, one presence, one intelligence, one love. We're calling it Spirit God. It is all there is. It is everywhere, evenly, equally present, doing what it does, knowing what it knows, manifesting as good and greater good. That good is taking place in every part of the one. And each one of us being some part of the one, are opening to the good that it is, raising our consciousness, clarifying our consciousness, our awareness of this oneness, so that we can be who we have come here to be consciously. And in this knowing, this acceptance, everything unlike the divine presence is released into the nothingness from which it came, because it is a false idea. And each is standing strong and secure in that divine embrace of love and givenness, knowing that I am one with the one. I am spirit, knowing and loving itself as me. And I am choosing And in the choice, the demonstration, the manifestation is to live my life from the center, from the awareness of the presence within that directs and supports and lives its magnificence by means of me. This is the truth already within the law. I speak it knowing that it is so, and give thanks that it is, and so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Judith. Hello, everyone. Hello. How you all doing? Hello, Celia. How is everyone? Good. We have, like I said earlier, a special program planned out today. We're going to have a discussion, and we all know what we are about. We are about the teaching and teaching the truth. The mission of this ministry is transforming lives for empowered living. And today we want to have two of our very own, Reverend Robert and Reverend Judith, discuss in details how this teaching has affected their lives, their demonstration practicing this teaching. And after that, we'll have a time to ask them questions and also talk about what's been like being us, you, this week. So without wasting much time, I'd like to invite Reverend Robert Villanova to tell us how he got into the teaching and how this teaching has affected his life. Thank you, Reverend Robert.
Thank you. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you all for being here. Well, let me just first say, before I talk about how I got into this teaching, let me just first say, I would not be able to stand at this podium and speak to you if it wasn't for this teaching, okay? That's what this teaching has done for me, and much more. But let me, so it's ironic that you're asking me, Jimmy, that how I got into this teaching, ironically, because it was actually about 20 years to this day that I kind of became aware of this teaching. And it's a very interesting story, and here it goes. One morning, about this time, 20 years ago, I woke up and made my coffee and walked into my living room, sat down with my cup of coffee, and there was this book on my coffee table. Don't know how it got there, it just was there. And the title of the book was called The Collective Essays of Dr. Stuart Grayson, who was the pastor right after Raymond Charles Barker at the First Church on 14th Street. So I opened the book and I kind of glanced through it and came upon the chapter called The Science of Mind. Science of Mind, that intrigued me. And starting reading that chapter and how that we have a power within us, and we have a power that is greater. There's a power greater in the universe, and we can contact that power. And I thought, wow, that's something I would like to learn more about, because it's actually what I've been searching for. So I got very excited after reading this, and I thought, okay, Science of Mind. There's a book called The Science of Mind. So I went to, where else do you go for books but to Barnes & Noble? So I went to Barnes & Noble and went to the metaphysical area, and there it was, The Science of Mind by Dr. Ernest Holmes. And I first thought, my God, what a huge book. I don't think I'm going to be reading all of this, but I bought it. I was excited, and I bought it. And I went home, and I started to read The Science of Mind. And as I'm reading it, I'm thinking, huh? What? What's he saying? I don't get it. I get something's moving within me, but I'm not quite understanding what Dr. Holmes is saying here. boy, I said to myself, I wish there were classes about this. I wish there was somewhere I can go and find out more about this teaching called the Science of Mind. And with that, I put the book on my bookcase and kind of forgot about it. I guess about a month or two later, I was walking Upper West Side, past Lincoln Center, past Alice Tully Hall, and lo and behold, I come across this huge poster, "The Science of Mind taught every Sunday here at Alice Tully Hall." I thought, wow, this is great. This is exactly what I've been looking for. I'm coming on Sunday. I will be there on Sunday. Sunday came, and I was like, maybe next Sunday I'll go. Well, next Sunday came, and I didn't go. And a couple of Sundays came, and I didn't go. So we fast forward a couple of months, 20 years ago. And that infamous day, September 11th, 2001, hit New York, hit the world, hit all of us. And it hit me very personally. I didn't really lose someone that I knew so much, but I sort of lost a part of myself, and I'll tell you why. Because my apartment in Brooklyn Heights overlooked the towers. So I lived with this. I lived with this. I smelt it, I tasted it for weeks on end. And I didn't know it at the time, but I was suffering from survivor's guilt. 3,000 people died outside my apartment, and here I am. Why? Why am I here? Why did I survive? And I'm getting teary-eyed now because that's what happened to me. I was teary-eyed, I was crying, I was depressed. And I can remember standing in my apartment, looking out over towards the towers that used to be there, and just started crying, and I was very depressed. And at that point, I turned, and this is the honest to God truth. I mean, we do speak the truth here. That's what we teach in this teaching. The honest to God truth is I turned to my bookcase, and the Science of Mind book was illuminating, it was glowing, it was calling me, saying, now is the time, Robert. And I made a commitment in that moment to go to Alice Tully Hall that Sunday, and I did. And the minute I walked into the hall, the minute I heard the lesson, I knew I was home. I knew I found what I was looking for. So I continued to go every Sunday, and I immediately started classes, which changed my whole life. So if you're not in the classes on Thursday, I personally invite you into our Thursday night classes. So I started taking the classes, and it was a little challenging in the beginning, but it started to unfold. I was starting to get what this teaching was all about. And very interesting, about 6 months into the classes, the pastor, Reverend Wade Adkisson at the time, was taking a group of people, a group of members of the church, and maybe Judith, you went to Egypt. Yes. So he took a group to Egypt and asked in class if there was anyone who can volunteer some time to help out in the bookstore, in the office, whatever. So I raised my hand, and so I got to be able to sit in the bookstore at lunch hour for Justine Freudenberger. So listen to this. This is the way Reverend Adkisson made the introduction to me to Justine. He said, Robert, I'd like you to meet Justine Freudenberger. She is the manager of the bookstore. And he said, Justine, I'd like you to meet Robert Villanova. He's studying to be a practitioner here. I said, I am? To myself, I said, I didn't know I was studying to be a practitioner here. That's interesting. What I didn't know was that he was planting a seed in my mind to become a practitioner. Okay? That's what we do here. We plant seeds of good. That's what this teaching does. So he planted that seed to become a practitioner. And I guess I accepted it because 3 years later, I became a practitioner of this teaching. And it was a wonderful experience. And it is a wonderful experience. So fast forward a couple of more years. There was another introduction. Okay? This time, I was upstairs in the office, and Reverend Adkisson came out of his office with the pastor of the Princeton Church, Reverend Karen Kushner. And here's how that introduction went. Robert, I'd like you to meet Karen Kushner. She is the pastor of the Princeton Church. Karen, this is Robert Villanova. He's studying to be a minister here at the church. I said, what's this? I said to myself, I said, is this guy nuts? I never said I wanted to be a minister. I never wanted to be a minister. I never planted the seed. He planted the seed to become a minister, and I will tell you, I fought it. I kicked and screamed. I do not want to be a minister. I do not want to be a minister. But I have to tell you, when you're fighting with spirit, when you're fighting with that power in the universe that says, yes, you're lost. You got to lose the battle. So, in 2006, I believe it was, I was ordained as a minister of this teaching. And it moved me, it still moves me. And I thought, okay, I'm a minister. I know everything now. That ain't the truth, ladies and gentlemen. It never stops. You never stop learning in this teaching. You never stop learning about the truth of yourself, the truth that life holds in store for you. And here is a place to come to reveal that inner spiritual magnificence. You can read all you want, but to experience it by means of classes, by means of Sunday coming together with like-minded people. So again, and I know Reverend Greg says this all the time, if you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, if you're on, what's the other, YouTube, you really want to join us on the Zoom so that we could see you, you could see us, and you can join in the community afterwards and speak your word. Tell us what you're feeling, how this teaching has changed your life. So, as I said, classes brought me into a deeper awareness of the power within me. It rid me of a lot of fears, a lot of self-doubt and low self-esteem. I will tell you that. It increased the power. So, yeah, join us on Zoom. Send us, I guess, Jimmy, they send us our email. If you could send our email via, I think there's on the website, there's the email address. And the chat room also. And phone us. There's a phone number, I'm sure, on the website with your email address. So we can send you the Zoom link. It's really, really important. That's how I got into the teaching. I'll tell you this also, which is very, very important. You could study, and you should study, and you could read books, and you should read books. But if you're not applying what you're learning, what you're experiencing from what you are getting from the classes and what you're getting from the books, if you're not applying that into your everyday living to experience what this teaching has done for you, it doesn't really serve you all that well. So you want to apply it to your life as soon as you can, because little demonstrations of good will lead to greater demonstrations of good. And every little demonstration, you should pat yourself on the back and say, yes, this teaching is working for me. And it will continue to work, and you will continue to grow, inspired, in spirit, and your life will totally, you will be in control of your life. You will be in control of your thinking, because that's what this teaching teaches us. It teaches us how to train our thinking, how to train our thoughts, and how, how important it is. Dr. Holmes says a trained thought is more powerful than an untrained thought, and that's common sense. And that's teaching, and this teaching is very common sense. And I think I may have taken up more of my time, so I guess I'll end it here, unless, Jimmy, you have another question you want to ask, or?
We'll get back to the questions after Judith.
Pardon me?
We'll get back to asking you questions.
Okay, all right, Reverend Judith.
Thank you so much, Reverend Robert. That was so revealing, and so we have to be careful the way we talk and speak, because we speak the truth. Yeah, thank you so much. I'd like to invite Reverend Judith, and she'll be telling us how she got into the teaching, what the teaching means to her, a demonstration, practicing the teaching. We all ears, Reverend Judith.
Good morning again, everyone. Happy Mother's Day, first of all. Not just to the moms, but to the grandmothers and the aunties and the sisters and the nieces, to everyone who provide that loving, teaching, nurturing that moms do, that preparing us for life that moms do. And some people have mothers that they think wasn't very good. But in our teaching, we know that we do what we know. And unless you get that awareness, you're going to do what you know. If they knew better, they would have done better. So knowing that they gave you life, you can still say thank you, show your gratitude. And if you still have your mom with you, of course you're going to do that. But if you don't, you can still say thank you, because they'll hear it, they'll know it. And back to how I got started in the science of mind. I approached it differently than Reverend Robert here. So we were classmates, and it was so good to see him today. I just wanted to hug him, and I still might before we leave here. But I am in the science of mind for about 25 years, because I came in actually before Reverend Robert did. And I am an eternal student, because I know that the more you know, there's always more to know. There's always getting clearer on what you do know. I want to tell you about the Asilomar Gathering. The first time, that gathering was where the religious science churches got together in Monterey, California. Beautiful, beautiful. And we all were on the grounds. There was nobody else there but the people from the Centers for Spiritual Living, as we're now called. But we got up around, well, whenever you wanted to, but at 7 o'clock, I think, or was it 6 o'clock? You could either go to a yoga class or a meditation class, or walk this labyrinth for clarity of mind, or you could go to a lecture. When they had meals, everybody ate together. And they rang this big bell, and you had to line up and go in, and good food. It was nice. There was a sense of community there, a sense of intention to grow, of oneness with each other, and of love, because everybody was on the same track, in mind, with the same dedication for personal spiritual growth. What else I wanted to say about Asilomar? In the evenings, they had speakers who were very popular, not just religious science speakers, but psychologists, different people like Carolyn Mason and Villanova and people. I remember one Asilomar I heard, Reverend Edward Vignon, who's now the spiritual leader for the Centers for Spiritual Living. And he told of a time he and his partner were speaking with a group of monks. And one of the monks asked them, well, what is the mantra for your teaching? And he said that he thought, and he realized that we don't have one. But then he remembered a line from Ernest Holmes, and it was, there is one life. That life is God. That life is perfect. And that life is my life now. I grabbed onto it. It just got embodied in me so quickly. I would just be going around in my home. There was one life. That life is God. That life is perfect. And that life is my life. And sometimes it would just take over me, and I would just sing, there is but one life. That life is God. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. And on and on and on. Because Spirit, God, the one presence, the one power, omnipresent, everywhere evenly present, omnipotent, all power, all love, the creator of the universe itself, everything in it, and it is in everything as itself, and it is in me. I am one with God. You know how once you lock onto it, the endless possibilities that knowing brings, as Robert says, it sets you free. It lets you know that I can do all things, because it's not just me. It's God in me that does it. But you have to know what that is, what God is, period. And that's where the teaching comes in. We have a member, Jimmy, I don't know, I can't see anybody on, but that's okay. We've got a few people here today. But Jimmy, I can say it because he says it, not our Jimmy, but this Jimmy from Arizona. He says that he's 82 or something, and he's always talking about his traveling and his mountain climbing and his skiing and stuff. And he attributes all to what he learned 40 years ago as a student of the science of mind here at our old First Church. And he'll say it all the time, and that's the truth. This teaching is for everybody. Whether you're young or old, it does not matter. The way it was taught before is different because of the age we're in, because of the Zoom and all the social media things. But the message is the same. It's not the truth will set you free. It's knowing of the truth that sets you free. It's living that truth that sets you free. And that's what we are about here. Teaching, uplifting, letting you know, letting us know, and keep knowing of who and what we are and why we're here and what we can do. Because we're powerful just because of who we are. It's up to us to exercise that power. Everything is by thought. That's one of the things that I've learned in Science of Mind. Yes, there is a power for good in the universe, and I'm using it all the time, but I can consciously use it. And unless you are consciously using it for good, then you're not using your power. You're not being who you've come here to be, which is spirit, individualized, and personalized. Our center is not, well, I don't want to say not, but it's not just to come together on Sunday and talk about what our weeks have been like, how good it has been us. Of course, that's important because that shows the trend of your consciousness, your mind. Not just to hear whoever is up here telling us how wonderful we are, but to find out why for ourselves. And nobody can do it for us but us. Not your mother, not Dr. Harte, nobody. It's everybody's individual privilege and job. And we offer a way to do it through the Sunday services, through the classes. I don't know if they're accredited, but whatever classes they're being gotten together, through the spirit groups like the Thursday Hay class and others that are being formed now, so that we can keep that community, that dedication, that love that got me at Asilomar and that we had at First Church, going here at First Center. A different time, a different generation, but it's the same teaching. So if you hear something that you like, oh, I want that, then join us. It's very simple. I mean, I like the eye-to-eye contact, the touching and the sometimes hugging and kissing of personal contact, but the Zoom is okay. And you can listen on the phone and you can watch on the Facebook or wherever you watch later, but it's the community. We're one accord here to raise awareness and consciousness. And that's what the center is all about. That's what our main job is. So as I said, if you say, I want to be a part of that, that's what I want for myself, my life. I want to be all that I can be. Then join. Very small amount. I mean, if you're watching anyway, listening anyway, that joining is your commitment to yourself for what you're saying that you want for your life. So, okay, I think that's it. I see Jimmy's kind of looking at me, so I guess that's it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Reverend Judith. That was awesome. Thank you so much. Happy Mother's Day to everyone, every mother in the house. Happy Mother's Day, Reverend Judith. Hey, it's been packed full. I'm just wondering how we're going to dissect this. But before I call on you all for your questions and your contributions, I'd like to ask this question. Maybe let me start with Reverend Judith, since she just left the podium. There's so much turmoil all around now, pandemic here, people are scared, people are dying. What will you tell the people? How will this teaching help us center ourselves in the midst of this challenge, pandemic, how do you think this teaching will help us keep focused and remain sane? Thank you.
Which I didn't get, that list of questions that we were going to be asked, but I know anyway. I'm thinking of something in scripture that says, I shall not be moved. When you know what you know, then these things are happening outside here. We have to stay centered in what we know and know that whatever's happening on the outside, I'm still spirit. I am still backed up by the creator of the universe. And that's it. That's it. And being happy is a choice. No, okay, it's a choice. But being joyful, that joy is in us as spirit, being delighted with its creation. So that's where you have to go back to. I choose to be joyful. I choose to see, it is what it is, but it shall not come nigh me, because my consciousness is stayed and on the intelligence, the energy that created me and is in me. So all I can say is all is well. And thank you, Spirit. Yes.
Thank you so much. I'd like to hear Reverend Robert's perspective. Thank you, Reverend Judith, for the beautiful response and answer. Reverend Robert? Yeah.
Same thing. Okay. So, it's a physical reality of this pandemic. We see it all around us. Reverend Judith is right on the mark, because we have to go within. We know on a physical level that people are dying from this pandemic or have died from this pandemic, and it's certainly a tragedy. But the spiritual reality, as Reverend Judith mentioned, I'm reminded of Dr. Holmes when he defines reality in a spiritual sense. He says, the spiritual reality is God in me, as me, is me. And if you come from that consciousness, it eases, I guess you could say it eases the pain a little bit and allows you to see the pandemic from a spiritual level, a higher level. It doesn't take the hurt away if you've lost people in your lives. It doesn't take the hurt away. But what it does do, it gives comfort. It gives comfort. It gives peace. It gives harmony to those people who have lost loved ones. So the question, I guess, Jimmy, is, or the answer, is to stay centered, as Reverend Judith said, to stay centered in the spiritual recognition that in that silence that I spoke about in the meditation, in that stillness, is the wisdom to see through the challenges that this pandemic is bringing upon, has brought upon us. And it's uplifting. Uplifting. It's the pandemic obviously is lifting. Some of the restrictions are being lifted, and we still have to stay centered in that peace and in that harmony and in that wisdom and in that consciousness, always and forever, forever. So stay well, stay safe, and stay inspired in spirit, in consciousness. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend Robert. Thank you, Reverend Robert. That was awesome. We've come to that time of the service where I would like to hear from you, your demonstration of the teaching and what it's been like being you. And our dear Reverends are also here. They will also answer any questions that you may want to ask. So we'll start with Celia. Hello, Celia.
Hello.
If you have any questions, contribution, comments, anything you want, it's an open house, ask it.
Well, thank you very much for this fascinating